I have always had a soft spot for bad units in Fire Emblem. Everyone can take a good unit and have it perform well, but to take the worst trash in the series and turn them into actually viable units requires some knowledge and preparation to know how to do, and even then they may not simply turn out the way you want. Some units seem destined to fail. In today's video, I'm going to take a look at 3 units from Fire Emblem which are considered objectively bad by the fanbase, and I'm going to tell you guys how to actually make these units worth your while. We're starting this episode off with a unit from my favorite game in the series, Fire Emblem 6: The Binding Blade. This game has its share of really bad units, but none stick out more like a sore thumb than the Falcon Knight Juno. Encountered in Chapter 20 of the Ilya route, this is one of those units that make you question if the developers were drunk. Funnily enough, despite the fact that I think almost no people have used her, she's made it into Heroes twice, and while they certainly gave her the Heroes treatment, so to say, I do think her artwork is stunning. In fact, I really like Juno as a character. She's an already married woman with a kick-ass husband, reminds me of someone else I really like. She's also literally a mom with a small baby, and she has that calm, gentle, motherly personality. In fact, Juno was the main inspiration for Rebellion Saga's Penelope. Anyway, enough about Juno as a character. Let's talk about her performance as a unit. Man, it's bad. It's really bad. If you take one look at her stats, they may not seem bad for a promoted level 1 Falcon Knight, but then you also have to remember that Juno is not level 1. She starts out at level 9. This means she only has 11 levels to grow, and her experience gains will be painfully slow. But even if you do make her level up, her growth rates are just so bad it hardly matters. 20% strength and 10% defense. Ouch! Not only does Juno have bad bases, but for whatever reason, possibly a programming oversight, the developer gave her E rank in swords. That's what her sisters get when they promote naturally. Furthermore, Juno's skill and speed aren't even that impressive for a level 9 Falcon Knight. Her base combat is atrocious. She struggles to hit and double attack generic enemies in her joining chapter. She gets weighed down 1 point of speed by wielding a regular iron lance. This performance is probably one of the worst out of all joining units in Binding Blade, and that's saying a lot. So, how do you make Juno viable? This is an interesting question because that's something I was wondering when I did my first Fire Emblem 6 draft race. I knew that all the flyers were going to get snatched up super fast, so my plan was to draft Juno and try to use her as my flyer. Now sadly, due to the fact that I couldn't keep her husband alive, I never got to actually try this out, but it still made me think about her as a unit a lot. Now, the easy answer to make Juno good is of course stat boosters. If you give her an energy ring, some speed wings, maybe a body ring, and then put a kilo lance on her, she can actually turn into a decent combat unit. Not great, but she can at least kill stuff now. But this is an argument you can make about any unit in the game. Stat boosters in FE6 are rare and anyone can become good with them, so I don't think this is a good argument in favor of Juno. Where I think Juno's strengths lie is in her role as a supportive flyer. You may think I'm talking about her support with her husband, but I'm not. Sadly, they don't get an automatic A rank support in this game, similar to Pent and Louise. Don't get me wrong, it builds super fast, but it's hardly relevant, as Celat has kind of fallen off by the time you reach Chapter 20. No, I am talking about Juno's supports with her sisters, Shanna and Thea. If you decide to do a Tri-Pegasus setup, Juno actually transforms into a very good unit. When the 3 sisters build up their supports, they become a menacing trio on the battlefield. Not only will you have 3 flyers with insane mobility and rescue drop potential, but you can also set up the occasional triangle attack. Yes, I know it's a bit of a meme, but sometimes it can be very nice if you need to take down that scary promoted Wyvern Lord or Manakete in Chapter 21. If you trained up Juno's sword rank, she can even take down Murdoch with an armor slayer, granted she's gotten a few good level ups. Now, you may think to yourself, how the hell am I supposed to get Juno's sword rank to C? Well, there's actually something you can do in her joining chapter, and it's quite funny. From turns 11 to 18, a total of 24 fighters will spawn from the top right corner of the map, all of them wielding steel axes. Juno can fly over and solo this wave of reinforcements by herself, merely wielding an iron sword. She will need some kind of healing, like an elixir in her inventory, as the fighters have around 18 to 90% chance to hit her. But once she clears the whole wave, she will have gained 2 levels and be halfway through D rank in swords. And you can do this well before the 25 turn count requirement to unlock Chapter 20X. Yes, I know, grinding on reinforcements, utilizing meme triangle attacks, giving her stat boosters, these arguments smells heavily of copium, but that is what the series is all about. How to take a trash unit and make them actually viable. Juno will never be the star of the show no matter how much you try, but she can fill a very niche support role with her sisters in a Pegasus-focused army. Binding Blade showers you in Elysian whips, so there's nothing wrong with using the 3 sisters together on your team. In fact, it's a very fun way to play Binding Blade. You should try it one time if you haven't. Anyway, that's how I'd go about making Juno good. Up next, we have a unit from Fire Emblem Fates. In a game where almost every character seems viable, this one also sticks out heavily from the crowd. I am, of course, talking about the one and only Rinkah.
What are you talking about, mate? Rinkah's not bad.
Speedwing here? What are you doing in this video?
I always show up unannounced whenever someone talks shit about Rinkah. Anyway, let me tell you why she's great. Something that a lot of people will say about Rinkah is that she has a really bad first impression, but this is often caused by the player themselves. The thing is, Rinkah's available in the prologue for 2 chapters, but most people will optimize a branch of Fate for Conquest as it's the most difficult of the 3 games, and in doing so give Rinkah no experience. Then when they come to play Birthright or Rev, they'll just start at the branch of Fate that they already have. So if you do this, you're effectively starting Rinkah off 2 chapters behind where she should be. If you took nearly any unit in the game, benched them for 2 chapters, then deployed them, they would also seem a little underwhelming. Rinkah is in arguably one of the best classes in the game for Birthright, and that's Only Chieftain. Only Chieftain is effectively the Armor Knight of Hoshido, but it has something even better. It has access to magic. Horse Spirit is one of the best weapons in the entire game, and it makes her defenses even bulkier. But she's not just good at enemy phasing in Birthright, the enemy phase game, but she's actually also a very good player phase unit when built correctly for Rev. Rinkah has an excellent personal skill in Fiery Blood, which gives her +4 damage when she's not on full health. If you want to have this active right from the start of a map, you can use a HP tonic on her on the first turn. Now here's a little secret tip for you Rinkah maxers out there. Pair her up with Takumi. Once you pair her up with Takumi, you can pick up the archer skills, namely Quick Draw and Certain Blow. Quick Draw stacks with her personal to give her +8 damage when she's attacking, and Certain Blow enables her to use the Great Club with Death Blow to reach crit levels of above 80% easily, turning her into a monstrous unit able to delete any threats that come your way. And if you want to take this even further, get friendship with Charlotte and you can turn her into a berserker, giving her Axe Fair. We're now stacking +13 damage on each hit. All in all, Rinkah is actually a pretty decent unit, but a lot of people just never think to give her a chance because of their bad first impression with her.
Wow, that sure was a lot of delicious copium. But yeah, that's how you turn a terrible unit into a decent one.
It's not terrible, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, up next we have another unit. This one is from Tree Houses. Probably one of the most reviled units in the series, and also one of the more forgettable ones. I am, of course, talking about Cyril.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Cyril is actually amazing.
No, he's not, Axum. Come on.
You know what? Leave it to the Fire Emblem dad to explain how to raise the kids.
Alright, I'm listening. Show me what you got.
At a first glance, you would believe that the reason why Cyril is so good is actually because of his aptitude skill. But that's not true. That's not even the reason why he's good at all. The thing about Cyril with aptitude is that his growths are actually comparable to other characters, not that much better. Like, he'll be as good as Petra, as good as Ingrid in some areas. Like, he's going to have a good HP stat, a good strength stat, a good speed stat, but he's really just competing with those high level other characters as well. So what makes Cyril so good? Well, Cyril does have innate proficiencies in 2 of the best classes in the game, which are the Wyvern Lord and the Bow Knight. He has access to those in which he doesn't need many resources to get into those classes. Now, the real reason Cyril is so busted is because of his phenomenal combat art selection. Cyril has Vengeance in the Lance line, along with a good HP stat, which means that if you put a hero relic on him and purposefully take damage, and now you can consistently reach 1 HP without dying and just unleash a hit and run vengeance monster that will destroy everything. But that's not even the best part of his build. The best part of his build is the fact that with 1 month of tutoring after you initially get him, you can obtain Point Blank Volley, which is one of the best combat arts in the game, transforming any single bow into a 1-range brave weapon. Early on, you can actually put this on a Steel Bow Plus, give it to him as early as like chapter 4 or 5 whenever you recruit him, and now you have a unit that can literally delete almost every single enemy unit in the game at that point. It is absolutely bonkers. It's amazing to the point that even people highly rate Leone because of it, but Cyril gets it so fast and it's so useful, making him an absolutely phenomenal unit. Now, I know what you're saying, but Axum, on Silver Snow he doesn't even appear, and I will agree. I don't think Cyril is that useful in Silver Snow, mostly because he arrives way too late. His stats are going to be way lower because he's going to be leveling in the Commoner class, which sucks, so he's not really worth it there. But on Blue Lions and Golden Deer, Cyril is one of the best units in the game, I promise you.
Well, damn, we're sniffing copium here, but it's actually starting to seem pretty good. So yeah, those are 3 units that the community think is pretty terrible and how to best utilize them. Did you enjoy this video? Leave a like and a comment, and check out Fire Bros and Speedwing here. Thank you so much for helping me with this video. My name is Mangs, and I'll see you next time.